this present moment, amidst our mutual journey of surveying Xandria's history for the Diana von Giersbergen vocal era, as I'm calling it, you and I have most recently entered the graces of a 2015 EP, Fire and Ashes, for the first 3 works to the EP out of a 7-track body, with the remaining 4 to go. And I have promised you, similar to what I did for Sacrificium and what I will be giving a Theater of Dimension and a Spotlight focus with full album considerations, I have promised you a full EP survey, and I intend to complete the run, just at a different time. Because as you can understand based on those first 3 numbers, and I would recommend if you've not yourself entertained Voyage of the Fallen, Unembracing in Remembrance, you do so for yourself. They are incredibly rewarding listens in the symphonic metal library, certainly with the expectant Xandria prowess I have just on temptation of humoring one of their works, in whatever era we're in. And I happen to be somebody in terms of a Xandria familiarity, and again, of a German origin if you're not familiarized to their name, and I want this to be welcome to anybody in our entrance together to such a notable talent in the European space, European metal specifically. You know I love that environment. However you approach as either a familiarized Xandria fan, I know many of you will advance me, or any ever developing like myself or initiate listeners, I hope you have a fun time with this. And I think our experience with where we're entering now is going to be quite rewarding, because you can say based on the nature of those first 3 pieces off the EP, all of which are originalized Xandria tunes, my itch for new works from them has been scratched. Well, new at least at one time. And this is true again to any era, right? I consider my Xandria a familiarity and love, and I happen to be somebody where there is a bit of a divergence of view in terms of which era is everybody's favorite. I'm considering era as the lineup. In our time together, we've surveyed a selection of works from either Manuela Kraler, or currently we're examining Diana von Giersbergen, or the present Amber Verhees in leadership. I happen to be somebody who's indisposed to all 3 eras, because I think all 3 ladies are quite compelling as metal talents in their own respects and capabilities. But I think we can all agree Diana is a superior talent within the European metal library, and certainly of operatic influences. And of course, to her credit, right, I've noted before, with Xandria, we're taking a history journey of examination and widening my field of vision with experience to their works of past debut. And in reality, it's a twofold journey, because this is also initiating the first steps to welcoming a deep dive into Diana von Giersbergen's credits exclusively. You know I like operatic talents. This has been building for me specifically with metal entrants, and a deeper examination of European ones specifically, but we're going to be taking, in the midst of Phase 2 consultations of where I currently am with a number of other artists, a Diana deep dive very soon, with credit to what we're doing with Xandria, as well to Ex Libris, her solo project Diana, I cannot wait to get to that, or existent collaborations. It'll be a fun journey we're on, where these are the first couple of steps. Step 1, in fact, of our 4-step map, as I'm visioning it, with Xandria being the initiator. As I said, we're going to come back to the EP. But I'm thinking of our journey today, in fact, of concluding Sacrificium on Journey, and just initiating with Discovery on those first 3 original pieces, and I'm kind of wanting to dig back into originalist Xandria offerings first and foremost. So, we're going to now enter the graces of a second album, of which Diana had membership with the group in their golden era, as I think it's appropriate to say, and I'm sure many of you would agree, but Theater of Dimensions. Quite an interesting release, by the way, more than I suspected going in, on some just light reading. A conceptual album, in fact, with an extensive storyline that does come across as quite sci-fi, fantasy, and contemporary based on other types of adjacent media. I'm thinking mostly in the cinema space, with multiverse stories and existent other dimensional paths, time machines. Like, you could easily think of stories for yourself, but there's a synonymy to where Xandria is going perhaps on topic. With a bit of an emotional thread, it is a pretty good setup, I think, which is going to be developed, I'm sure, expertly on lyrical vision, certainly with invigorating instrumental scoring and capable vocals. On that latest respect, I cannot wait any longer. Let's enter the graces and begin our journey of a full album sweep through Theater of Dimensions, with, again, an imminent return to those last 4 remaining pieces off of the EP. They just fit a different mold. I thought it'd be kind of fun to end with those based on their nature. But going back to originalist Xandria numbers, I've really liked humoring this group, and I hope you've enjoyed the ride with me, as I think music is best enjoyed in company, and the ride we're taking with Xandria, I think, is quite rewarding. Now, music is very much a subjective experience, right? So you might have a different opinion, or maybe you don't even know necessarily where you're going to enter, but keep an open mind. I think you'll quite like Xandria. You might not even be necessarily the biggest fan of opera, but I think it's compelling to say just on temptation that Diana will woo you over, based on her range as a spinto soprano singer of incredible recognition. Just wait. If you've never witnessed her before, you're going to quite like this. I would recommend a deep dive into their history for yourself. Sacrificium on Full Witness was great, but This is the sophomore album. Considering her membership of the group, XANDRIA has a longer existing history for sure, but our second entrance of Diana von Giersbergen, one more step towards other involvements with her, and I cannot wait to get to her subsequent adventures will be entertaining mutually. But let's initiate first, finally, with the sophomore album. Our second step journey, Theater of Dimensions, via Where the Heart is Home. Already feels cinematic, considering the conceptual side to this release. Good root of establishment, real familiarity, even to score of genre synonymy, perfect cohesion. Deliberate symphonic cue, orchestral side, I love it about symphonic metal in particular, good range. Prolonged entrance too. It takes its time, it's evolving on vision, though I'm sure lyrical onboard will be incoming any minute now. This is XANDRIA I love. I thought it'd be Diana first and foremost, so not the choir, but I'm okay with it. And the key is a great match. So many extremes hit within symphonic metal versatility. Light pace shift, maybe? This is perfect. Balance between power and symphonic metal styling, so even with this number. Highly immersive, again, those static strikes I really like. Fantastic. Doesn't her voice just sit well? Perfect. Creative isolation effects too. Really interesting character to this song. She really is a metal goddess, isn't she? Wow. There's just something about her voice that is so intoxicating on effect. It's just the presence of her. Wow. What a fantastic flow to the number. The established voice of this new record is incredibly rewarding. Her elevations are just so natural with her. I love these later releases too from XANDRIA's catalog that really allowed Diana's voice to be fleshed out extremely prominently. And this one, there's some real adventurism too. Reminds me a lot of Sacrificium on Beginning. Shorter number, but still, same effect. perfect atmosphere on riffs. Yet every aspect of XANDRIA numbers on a symphonic extreme are incredibly fulfilling. Her control of volume too, balanced with pitch, just really amazes me at how thorough it is. What a great flow. Different extreme on voice. Now we go into a ballad appearance. Will it maintain? I'm curious. Man, the echoes for me are just a beloved attribution to bring in, aren't they? Really give a good field. Our return seems quite imminent. Let's see. If in the same condition. Yep. Perfect wind up on a refrain. Fantastic. Stricter on runtime than Sacrificium. That was quite extensive, you might recall. And it's a bit of an opposite, right, in structure with Theater of Dimensions. Where we begin with Sacrificium on a 10-minute number, we also have that same type of achievement piece, though it's a conclusion here, I believe, to our survey. I think it is the last, yes, it is the last piece. So that really will feel like, I'm sure, a great outro. And I think that is basically a good encapsulation from what I've read and previewed with the lyrics of the general storyline. But on initiation of experience, it reminds me a lot, in effect, of Sacrificium, with Where the Heart is Home. I really like it as a number. Perfect evolution on build, elongated, stretched, just like Sacrificium. But it gives you that momentum of experience of like, okay, you know what you're in for. Again, on symphonic metal extremes, that type of orchestral environment I really like. And you preview the lyrics even in advance, as I noted. The riffs are perfectly established. The sentimental tone, again, immediately lures you in. But my initial presumption was Diana would originate the number on voice, not the choir. And matched with the key they picked, plus the pace of a number. Perfect bridge of extremes. Incredible footing on establishment of voice with this. And then when Diana comes in, it comes, I believe, with that first verse, or not first, with the blood red lines against my ivory skin. Great visual details, by the way. I love the colors imagined illustration with XANDRIA pieces. This is a credit with Sacrificium as well, or really anything they've released. It's deliberate in many of their numbers, whatever era you look at. But here it really stands out. This is going to be, I think, an achievement work of theirs. That's something I saw in Sentiment of approach with XANDRIA. I don't try to frequent reviews from other people too often, but just again, I like to go in with a fresh mind. But I was curious to see what the response was, at least in specific focuses of Where the Heart is Home. Or not just the number of Theater of Dimensions of the larger picture. And I heard good word of mouth on it, at least with some credit to particular pieces of recognition we will be getting to in the midst of our near full run through together. But as an entrance, this has such a great establishment effect on it. Versatility of voice with Diana. The softened approach, again, with those first verses, going into the choruses with the Bridges May Burn line, and that vocal. The way she balances extremes, by the way. And this one feels like she's really going for it naturally. Some people said that with this album, Diana's really getting into her footing. And I would say that there's easy temptation of that via Sacrificium. She has always been a natural spinto soprano singer and quite invigorating talent of humor. A metal goddess, in my opinion. And certainly I would believe she still is, even with the departure of XANDRIA. But this is certainly a golden era of their history of her involvement. That vocal control matched so effectively between pitch and volume. such a balance and a refinement, again, on the way she articulates her. It just, I wish I could sing like that. I can't. I never will be able to. I happen to know somebody that's an operatic singer, but she's, I believe, more so just the soprano extreme, more along, I would say, an approximation of Manuela Carrere. Diana really reaches, and you can hear that evident passion as she sings. It's incredible. And plus, when you experience Xandria numbers, I've certainly witnessed this an emotional effect. The connection you have to them as artists through their vision of what they employ so readily. Even with this, I feel like where the heart is home. That's me with music. And I feel right in the heart of this number like I have a deliberate connection immediately on first sensation and in evolution of where we go as a piece. With perfect builds, by the way, and great structured decisions, to have that rap on the end. Perfect cap, by the way, with the vocal choir intermixed with Diana, and such a strict finale. I love it. It's a strict cutoff. Limited tenure. Perfect involvement, though, in my opinion. But those choruses are so well mapped out. The decision, though, on the end, to draw it back, isolate. There's particular sections where I think the percussion's isolated. I love the way certain instrumentals are emphasized on this. Again, everything is placed perfectly, to every extreme that you can analyze it in its own standing, whether it be the symphonic, riffs, percussion, vocals. There is such a beautiful balance on this number. Well, I don't think the vocals are necessarily isolated, but again, there's that softer section in the bridge that really draws everything back into a close before we dive back into the origin establishment of that first chorus with a refrain. Even tracking, perfect structure, great speed, by the way, and balance, again, whatever you look at in terms of instrumental or vocal. There's such control and precision of vision with this number. A real dream. Our first step into Theater of Dimensions. And our sophomore release, our first, I believe, well, at least our time together, thematically or conceptual album, is beginning on a high note. An achievement number. Very similar in effect to Sacrificium. Much shorter in duration, but equal in prominence, adventurism, and favorability of voice. I really like it. And plus, the key choice feels specific to this work. Maybe it'll be a defining aspect to Theater of Dimensions of a larger picture, I don't know. But it is certainly a welcome entrance to whatever extreme you identify, and Xandria has many to consider. I would love to hear your thoughts down below on that piece. Again, our entrance into Theater of Dimensions. What do you think? And at this point, I will also qualify, just based on the energy of a number and the synonymy to different types of media within the sci-fi fantasy space, Xandria is deserving of, I would say, a score presence. If any movie wants to feature them, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I think there's a couple of credits, and notably the European venue. I could also bring up Visions of Atlantis as another example. I think there are some groups a perfect fit with crossing barriers of entertainment mediums, and I think Xandria would be a great fit for a film score. Like, just listen to the way this is structured symphonically, it's perfect. But it just comes across again as so cinematic, perfect to the extremes of what define this number on nature. It's amazing. And to Diana's credit, too, she would be a great attribution for any type of cinematic work, though she's no longer a part of Xandria. Her vocal presence here, again, is so rewarding. I would love to hear your thoughts and experience down below, and your point of approach if you wish to declare it. Longtime fan or initiate listener, what do you think? If this is your first step, in fact, into Xandria's world of Theater of Dimensions, I think we're in for a very rewarding expedition, you and I, together. As music is best enjoyed in company, I always note that, and I can't state it enough. Xandria, I wouldn't humor their work on first introduction every other way, and generally that's how we are approaching, with one exception, Theater of Dimensions, and I think it is going to be quite a fun ride. Next up on entrance, Deaf to the Holy. I really like the individuality of that name. I'm curious to see which direction it goes on musical tone, but our initiation sets up, I think, a great journey. Wouldn't you say? I think it's a story that's well enshrined by where the heart is home. Quite a beautiful work of theirs. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.